What's up, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
I'm Freddie Burns.
And we are here for the biggest party night of the year, and we're bringing the party right to you.
I'm Joe Bashir.
Little delay on that one. I don't know what's going on, Jeff. Sorry, bud. The biggest party night of the year in EoP is bringing that party to you. So if you're getting ready to go out and enjoy some time with your friends and your family that come home for the holiday, great. But you can hang out with us for a little bit while you're getting ready and talk a little Philly sports. Let's just kick it off. The Eagles are 9-1, boys. Eagles are 9-1. Beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I don't know where to start with this. I mean, so many different storylines to go with it. But overhead, Joe, I'll start with you. What are your overall feelings of this win for the Philadelphia Eagles?
My overall thought of this win is, thank Jesus. I'm so thankful they won this game. Not only for our fan base, not only for you two and everybody else who pays attention, but for my own psyche. I was texting you guys during the game. I was so bipolar during this game. I'm yelling, check the spot. Right after that, I'm yelling at my wife. The Eagles already lost this game in 7 minutes. Like, I could not keep myself contained. It was unbelievable. I was back and forth all game. It's just, honestly, thank God. I mean, they finally beat the Chiefs. They finally get to Andy Reid. They win the game, and the Chiefs lose. Andy Reid loses after a bye. It was back and forth. I mean, Kevin Byard with that, godsend of an interception in the end zone. Bradley Roby, who just comes back from injury, punches it out from Travis Kelce. Some timely defensive sacks. I mean, everything you wanted this game to be, it really was. I didn't really think it was going to be a blowout, and obviously it wasn't. But it was that kind of back to forth. And I'll be honest with you, I was so hurt at halftime being down 10 points. I walked away from the living room. I gave myself about 5-10 minutes to collect myself, and I came back in and I said to my wife, you said, you know what? I'm back in because this is exactly what happened with the Super Bowl. Chiefs were down 10, and look what happened. The Eagles are going to win this game, come back out in the second half, and thankfully it went our way. Don't want to hear about the whole, oh, we're lucky. Don't want to hear about, the refs or penalties or lack thereof. The Eagles got the win. They're the best team, not only in the NFC, but in all of the league. What more can you say about this? They're 3-0 in the division. They beat the top offense at the time in the Dolphins. They beat, just arguably the other best team in the league in the Chiefs in the AFC. Just, there's nothing that can be said about this team other than they are the best in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely, John, and I agree with you. And I didn't expect any team to blow either team out in this one. I expected to come down to the wire for the most part. And yes, teams. I mean, the drop balls have been a Chiefs problem for years. I mean, it's an Andy Reid led team. He's got a great quarterback, great tight end, good O line, good defensive line, but his wide receivers are kind of wish.com versions of wide receivers, and they've had the dropsies all year long. Especially the guy who dropped it in Scantlin, who dropped. I think he had 6+ 30+ yard drops. So they had more than anybody else in the NFL by far. So it's things happen like that. Everybody has drops. I mean, the punch that got that ball loose from Travis Kelce was a huge momentum shifter. The fact that you can hold the Chiefs to 0 points in the second half of a game, quietly did it, by the way. Just didn't. It always felt like, I guess maybe because you're an Eagle watch, you just felt like the Chiefs were always in control. But no, the Eagles defense did an amazing job. Doesn't get enough credit for it at times. Even though, last year we talk about all the sack record and everything else that came along. But this team is doing a really, really good job of playing well to the team. No game, I feel, and we keep talking about this, is going to be easy. And in some ways, I feel that's a plus in our way, because you're going to be battle tested the whole way through. You're not going to look past any team. Maybe they'll get a little lackadaisical in the last 2 or 3 games, depending on how the rest of this comes out. If they're not as important, especially the last game of the season, depending on how all the chips fall. But I mean, this is the game we expected to have. I can't have any real. I mean, you could pick apart things and find things wrong. I mean, the O line was atrocious in the first half. I mean, the O-line would admit that. But give Stoutland, give the O-line, give Brian Johnson some credit. Nick Sirianni, they made the right adjustments, and they saw what they saw and they made adjustments, which this team sometimes didn't always do.
Dude, that O-line did not make any adjustments. It was a trash all night long. It was unbelievably bad. Brian Johnson was unbelievably bad. But, I just put it on Jalen Hurts, and he wasn't that great either. But this team, they're 9-1. They just find ways to win, and great teams find ways to win, even if they play like crap. There's been plenty of Patriots teams that I've seen in my lifetime that just get by, but they win, and that's all that matters. Because the heart and the resilience of this team, starting with Nick Sirianni, is just unbelievable. But that game, I was frustrated, like you said, Joe. Anxiety. How you text us, is this good for my health? Screaming at the TV. I mean, the line was so bad. I have not seen the offensive line that bad I can't even remember. I might go back to the Reed era. They were just Hurts didn't even have any time whatsoever. And the offensive coordinator didn't help him out any with the terrible play calls. It was very frustrating to watch. And, outside of that, committing to the run a bit, which is a weakness of the Chiefs, that was the only thing I liked. And then a couple screens up the middle screen to Swift was a good call. But even the biggest play of the game to win this football game was that bomb to Devontae Smith, which was underthrown. Devontae Smith made a great play. He was really probably the MVP offensively, outside of Hurts using his legs a few times. That play was not called by Brian Johnson. That was audibled by Hurts himself. So Brian Johnson continues to be a question mark to me. And for Sirianni to continue to lie to us and say he's doing a great job, it is kind of aggravating me. But a win is a win, fellas, and we are 9-1 atop the entire NFL. And I'm just happy with that. I'm one of these people that I can recognize the flaws and say, hey, these are things that need to be better. But I'm not like some people are kind of overboard, oh, it's fluky, lucky win. And it's no, we continue to beat teams with good records. What's it? 7 and Hurts is 7-0 against teams with winning records. It's just very awesome to see this team not even be anywhere close to where we think they should be, yet they're 9-1. They're 9-1.
Fred, you talk about the flaws, and you're absolutely correct. I mean, but what team right now isn't? I mean, it's just who can make up for their flaws, I guess, is the best way. And that's what good teams do. They find a way of working around and hiding their flaw, not hiding, but make up for their flaws, and with the ability to still eke out wins. I mean, we've said it a lot. You said it again. Good teams find a way to win even when the chips are down, and maybe at the time they're not the best team on the field. But listen, you can call a lucky win here and there, but 9 lucky wins, at one point you have to think maybe a team's better than you think they are. Real quick, guys, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. Guys, the holiday season is coming up. Easy way without having to leave your house and find great tickets at great events for great people in your life. Sports, concerts, theaters, you name it, they got it. The price you see on the screen is the price you're going to pay. It's hard to get tickets. There's going to be no hidden fees. You're going to know what you're going to pay, except for the additional 10% off by using that great promo code EOP10. That's right. EOP10 will save you 10% off. Already great prices at Sherry'sTickets.com. So check them out, Sherry'sTickets.com. Start doing your holiday season shopping now at Sherry'sTickets.com and use that promo code EOP10.
One thing, Al, I did want to touch on how we should have. I don't know if I found this out after our show last week or before, and then I forgot it till the end of the game. The Chiefs are actually the worst second half team in the league. They average 5 points per game in the second half. So that kind of
wow.
Not knowing that, then forgetting it, and then remembering it when the telecast reminded me in the fourth quarter was like, oh man, down 10. I should have been more like, But the Chiefs, I mean, I texted to my friends. I'm like, they're letting us hang around. Like, they had multiple opportunities to put this game away, and they just couldn't do it. And it was just beautiful to see us capitalize on it. Jarius Sneed, I think we all kind of like said, AJ Brown, like, I know you stopped Tyreek Hill, but AJ Brown, you got no shot. He's a different animal. Bro, one catch, 4 yards on one catch, 8 yards on 4 targets. So if anything, another takeaway, Jarius Sneed's the real deal, man. Like the one play, if him and Hurts
look good.
connected, would have been a touchdown. But that makes me feel better about the win, though. The fact that they shut AJ Brown down, yet we still win the game.
Yeah, and to kind of go.
Yeah,
with
it's
that,
funny, and what you.
Yeah, bud.
Good.
Yeah,
I was just piggyback off of what Fred was saying about Devontae Smith in that big catches. He had another game, 2 out of 3, where he's had 99 yards, and you can tell that these things like matter to him and some of these other players, because he was quoted earlier saying that he'd rather have 98 yards opposed to 99 because he didn't get to that 100, that century mark. He doesn't want to be 1 yard below. He'd rather, I'd just be 98 or below. I mean, these guys really care about their performance out there. And I mean, it shows. And I like that they're truthful about it. They want to be out there and doing everything for their team and putting up some, like, I don't want to say it's pad statting or anything like that, because no matter what, their stats help the offense. But I care to know that they really take pride in their performance out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, it's not something you think with the Chiefs, like, ooh, defense, but they have put a sneaky good defense. I mean, that D-line was causing problems, just like our D-line was causing problems as well. But can I just point out that give Patrick Mahomes his due? Like, what a guy that's hard to tackle. I mean, these guys have how many sacks would this team have had more? At least 4, maybe, and that's me being generous. On any other quarterback at any other time. But give Patrick Mahomes his due. He's elusive, especially that one keeps coming to my mind is where they kind of chased him towards the sideline, and Fletcher Cox looked like he had him dead to rights, and somehow he got Fletcher Cox to whiff on him big time. But it like I said, this was just a game that I expected it to be, and it just gives you hope, because there's been a lot of stinkers this year. I mean, not Eagles games, but just NFL games. How many times you look at the schedule, you maybe find 2, 3, 4 if you're lucky, decent matchups to watch and just sit down and relax. But really, there hasn't been many this season. So the fact that you had almost 30 million people watching this amazing Monday night primetime game, top teams in the conference, top teams in the NFL. Just going at it, and it was a heavyweight battle. Like, what more could you ask for?
The weather was a factor too. I don't want to make that an excuse there, but that definitely was a factor early on. I just did get how long it took, and I'll bring Anthony's comment back up here. Desai, I think, is solid. He makes mistakes and always adjusts. Brian John, I think it has nothing to do with the contract. Desai was brought in from another team. And then I think Brian Johnson, they bring him up because they want to keep the offense the same for Hurts. They don't want to bring in a new guy that's going to change it. But, I just couldn't figure out why we would not get the quick throw game going. It just took so long. And then he decided to do it via the wide receiver screen. And he kept running it to like the left, the right, the left, the right. It was like, yo, it's not working, bro. It's not freaking working. Like, why can't we just run a nice little quick slant or a 5-yard in and do a quick throw? Like, it just, he infuriates me. The more and more I watch, and I defended him at the Vikings game, like, because I thought he did adjust on the fly, but it just, I'm concerned there. I definitely am. So I agree with you, Anthony, that there's problems with Brian Johnson, but I don't think it has anything to do with the contract.
But real quick, what exactly were we expecting out of Brian Johnson in his first, season as offensive coordinator? The highest promotion, obviously, he's ever had. I mean, he was a quarterback's coach. I didn't go into the season expecting him to be like lights out, making the exact right, playing play calling right away. Like, I understand that it does come with growing pains, and I do think he's going to learn from his mistakes. And I get the hypocrisy of saying, like, oh, well, he's known, Jalen Hurts since he was like a little kid and all that. Like, I feel like it's such a new and larger dynamic for him that he's still trying to get used to the speed of everything.
Joe, we're in week 11. I'm sitting on my couch
9-1
drinking beers. Yeah, but like I'm sitting here and I can see the defense got the pass rush like crushing Hurts. So like, why did it take to the third quarter midway through to be like, oh, maybe we should do the quick game, which is exactly what the Chiefs are doing. Like, it's just common sense stuff. This isn't anything elaborate.
Right. And when has it been every single season where an offensive coordinator has been doing common sense stuff? We are always talking about the Eagles offense being off balance. Like, this isn't new to us. Like, it's the same thing we talk about every single season.
It has to do with adjusting on the fly, like the pass rush.
Right, and they don't. They've never really done that. They've never really adjusted on the fly. I understand 2 seasons ago where Hurts was new. His first starting season, and they went real run heavy. Other than that season was the only time we've seen them make that adjustment to running the ball heavily opposed to passing.
I'm not talking about running the ball over passing at all.
Then what are you talking about? You're talking about adjustments. You're talking about the offense making adjustments.
The quick pass game, Joe.
Right. And what I'm saying,
if they're run blitzing you up the middle, you can't run the ball. Like, you know,
right, you're talking about adjustments. When have they ever made adjustments like that? When have they ever?
They have.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
They've gone from you do it all. They do it all the time. Like, Chip Kelly did it.
No.
In the course of a game, our offenses have made adjustments. If you're talking about run balance, that's different.
I'm talking about offensive adjustments in general.
Like,
offensive adjustments in general.
Like, here's another one. So we tried to run this rub route the whole time, Nick Sirianni. He realized that's not working. We're getting penalties for it. He adjusted it and went away from the rub route and did other types of things. Shane, and then eventually my man did adjust and started throwing quick, short passes 5 yards past. But
you're talking about one thing in general. You're talking about a slant pass.
Yes, a quick down, set, hut, 1, 2, throw. The exact thing that Mahomes was doing on the other side. Like he was going, letting Hurts sit there. The pocket would collapse him. Like, it was clear as day it wasn't working. And he just took till 3.5 quarters, and they still didn't fully adjust.
But why does that surprise you?
Because it's common sense.
When do they ever do things by common sense?
They always do. Like every coordinator adjusts.
Well, let me ask you this question: devil's advocate in the situation. Does the fact not having Zach Ertz or a tight end who can come off and do something, allow the quick pass like that? They're not going to run Devontae Smith up the middle very often. They don't really run many of our wide receivers up the middle. But like, do you think not having a tight end in there like that, was a reason maybe they got away from that?
I think it's a poor excuse.
I was expecting to see a lot more Julio Jones going, and we didn't see anything.
How would he play tight end though, Joe? Like, he would have to go up against
I'm not saying tight end. I'm just saying in general. I expected because he's a big presence. He's got the frame. Like, he can go up. He can get those 50-50 contested balls. He can get the yak. He has good hands. I just figured with Dallas Goedert out, you would kind of swing some plays his way, and he just did not see it. It's almost like, why did they even bring him in here?
That would have been a great adjustment, Joe. As we're talking,
right? About. And they didn't do it because it's not common sense. It's not what they play with.
Brian Johnson. Maybe his game plans are good, and that's what Sirianni's talking about. I don't know how. And I defended him in the beginning. I gave him. I'm getting frustrated as everyone else. Even the run game, like, if you want to go down the balance route, like, Swift was running pretty well.
Yeah.
Yet he would go away from that too, and it's just, I don't know. It's very frustrating for me. But
yeah, and that's honestly one like that. I mean, everything else aside, with the poor weather conditions, you would have thought that Swift would have been very heavily involved. I mean, he had a very nice game, and in fact, some of the plays were what kept the Eagles in the game. But I thought we were going to see so much more out of him as well.
The middle screen call was great, but that was followed by 3 terrible calls. Maybe he was setting them up. But the middle screen call was a great call. How about the line, though? And I don't want to beat them up too much. Again, we're 9-1, but I guess we're overly concerned. But have you? What is it like? They're that bad?
No, I honestly haven't, and I don't know if that's just to the kudos of the defensive line of the Chiefs. I don't know if it's Cam Jurgens coming back in, and that this being like the 10th or 11th combination they've had in as many games. Maybe it's everyone kind of getting older and just losing a step. I don't know what it is, but I mean, luckily they're 9-1, and they can hopefully only get better from here. But yeah, that was a tough game to watch from the offensive line.
Not making excuses for them, but listen, give it to the defense. Spagnuolo especially. They were sneaking guys in behind, kind of creating holes. That the Eagles were leaving wide open. They very much studied the way that this team stunts and blocks, and give them credit where credit's due. To do it. I mean, they played against one of the top defensive lines in the NFL right now, and they held their own later into the game when it counted the most. It took them some time to probably see some of that so they can make the adjustments. I know Fred, you kind of came at me and saying like, no, they didn't have a good game at all. I think they had a better game. They didn't have a great game.
I'm not trying to attack here. Did you watch the last? There's another Brian Johnson issue. The final 2 minutes. No, I knew you watched the game. I'm saying the last 3 minutes when I don't know what the call was. They should have been running the ball or at least attacking.
The bubble screen was killing.
I don't know what it was, but the line got blown and Hurts took like a 7 or 8 yard loss. Like I don't think the line adjusted at all. I think Hurts won that game on that audible to Devontae Smith. And that's what won the game. And that's what good quarterbacks do. Brady picks his team up year after year after year. We watch Peyton Manning do it. We watch Mahomes do it. Jalen Hurts won that football game on that audible. No doubt about it to me.
Real quick, guys, I want to give you a heads up. So there is plenty of EoP to come tonight, even after we're done. We got 2 post-game shows. The Flyers are going on right now. They're in the last 5.5 minutes of the second period. They're down 2-1 to the Islanders. And I believe it will be Matty B on the call tonight for that. So you can check that out later after our show. And the Sixers are down 48-42 to the Timberwolves with about less than 3 minutes left in the first half. So just to give you guys a catch up on what's going on there. So all right, they won against the
They were down 37-20.
Now we talk a lot about the Chiefs. We talk about what's going on and what a big win it is. But it is a bit of a short week, especially with Thanksgiving. I'm sure it shortens practice even more for the Eagles. Looking forward, I mean, the Bills are a team that have struggled, but had called a good game against a bad team. Even though we lost them, they are a bad team nonetheless against the Jets. The Bills are in desperation mode. Does that keep this game a little tighter than it should, guys?
I honestly was watching that game just very happy that Buffalo came out with that win. So this coming week wasn't the get right week for the Bills. They are coming into South Philly. They're a very, very beatable team. And I think coming off of a Chiefs win like this, I think that just gives you more motivation to go in and, clean up those mistakes. And you're playing a good football team. It could go either way, no doubt about it. But again, very beatable, and I think the Eagles are going to come out victorious. I mean, I don't want to say victorious now. We have so much more to talk about this. But I just think when it comes to paper, I do think Jalen Hurts is playing way better than Josh Allen right now, who's become a little bit of a turnover machine. So, I mean, I think the Eagles are heavily favored in this one.
Fred?
I think the spread's 3.5. They're at home, and I'm harping on the O-line, and I was kind of waiting to segue into this. It doesn't get easier this week either. The Bills are second in the league in sacks with 39, first in quarterback hits. They got a great offensive line, a great linebacker staff. They're probably so past D. You got AJ Epinesa in there. Rasul Douglas is on the pass day. You got two great linebackers.
Forgot about him.
Yeah, he just got traded there, and in 3 games he already has 2 picks.
Nice.
So your boy, that's your boy, Joe.
I loved him. I loved him when he was here when we drafted him. Absolutely.
Doesn't what's his face return?
McDermott?
Corner. No.
Sean McDermott.
No. On the defense, who returns?
Tre'Davious White. No, he's been in.
Yeah, they drafted him.
Von Miller. I'm sorry, just couldn't remember.
Linebacker. They're saying he might come back. He might come back.
Yeah, there's a chance that he comes back a week, which does throw a wrinkle into their defense even further. Even though he's on the older side, he's still a very high IQ defensive player and can wreck a game. We've seen him do it a dozen times.
Dude stinks.
Ton of Georgia Bulldogs. The Eagles team, Georgia over there. Same over here with the Bills. They got James Cook at running back, and then Leonard Floyd 9.5 sacks. Another Bulldog going away from them. Yeah, Ed Alvarez 6 sacks. AJ Epinesa has, I believe, 6.5, 6, 7, or something like that. So the pass rush is going to be a major concern this week. Offensively, let me talk about a very overrated quarterback in Josh Allen. And I know he's coming off 275 yards, 3 touchdown pass, another interception. 2 of those touchdown passes were dump offs to running backs. He's overrated, guys. I think on the Bills game, we have a couple primetime games we've been able to watch with him. I've gambled on the Bills or against the Bills. He is a freaking turnover machine, and it's almost, and I love Carson Wentz, very similar, minus the injuries.
I made that comp earlier,
to the Carson Wentz, how he just started to just turn the ball over, whether it's interceptions or fumbles. And I think this game will be close, but ultimately, I think he's going to screw it up.
I believe he has 12 interceptions on the year already and hasn't even played 12 games yet. So, yeah. No, it's funny you said that. I actually had that written down. I made that comp earlier. I said he's Carson Wentz 2.0 in some ways. He has some elusiveness with his legs. He can make some big plays and wow you, but at the same time, he can make some really stupid plays and piss you off and turn the ball over at the worst time. So, that would be your big X factor there, if you ask me. Can the Eagles D-line and put enough pressure on Josh Allen for him to make Josh Allen type mistakes? I think that's your difference in the game right there.
And the Eagles can't turn the ball over either. I think I forget the number. I thought I wrote it down here, but the Bills have 27 takeaways, a very high number as far as takeaways go as well. So, I feel like this is a game where realize the mistakes you made against the Chiefs, hopefully shore up some stuff on the O-line. Don't let Ed Alvarez eat on us, you know what I mean? And Leonard Floyd, and just, run the football. That's a weakness of the Bills, much like the Chiefs. And control the game. You're at home. I think it's going to be close, though. I think the Bills could cover that 3.5 spread. I think most people looking at it would probably take the Eagles. I would think. I might be wrong. So I think it'll be closer than maybe others expect. Or maybe people do expect a close game.
I think to your point about the Bills and their turnover rate, I think one of the things we've seen the Eagles get better at, and especially Jalen Hurts, is their own turnovers, their own turnover rate. And I think Jalen Hurts only has 8 interceptions at the moment, but a few weeks ago he had 6 of those turnovers, those interceptions. So I think that's something that he has improved in over the weeks. I think his vision is becoming a little bit better. He's still taking sacks. I do feel like a part of that is just him kind of like trying to save himself from any type of injury. He still has the vision, to create with his legs, which is really good to see. I mean, we've seen that in the past couple of weeks. I just think as the weeks go on, as the season goes on, Jalen Hurts is becoming more to form as what we saw last season.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Al.
I think some of the things people questioned in the beginning was Jalen Hurts going to use his legs less before they knew of this knee injury that we found out later about. Is he going to use his legs less? Is he going to be more to keep him from taking some big hits. I think you're actually seeing another evolution in Jalen Hurts in some ways of being that pocket passer, which makes him dangerous. Yes, taking his legs away, I think with a knee injury, has probably made us left some points on the field that we probably could have had more if he had his legs to make him more dangerous, because people haven't had to respect his run as much as they. But I think you're starting to see him get a little finding that right mixture of being that pocket passer, but also being elusive and having more judgment calls. Because one thing I did see against the Chiefs, if I was going to give Jalen Hurts any criticism, was the RPO. He was kind of hanging on to that ball a little too long when he was making his decisions against the Chiefs, which cost them sometimes. So, but no, I think you're seeing an evolution of Jalen Hurts moving that next tier in becoming an NFL quarterback. I can be a pocket passer. I can use my legs. It doesn't matter. I can beat you, and I will beat you.
Yeah, you know what's funny is and I don't know if you guys noticed this prior games, but this is where it kind of really hit me, is the tush push, and just yes, it's dominant. And even some naysayers and Chris Sims, he's saying you shouldn't ban it because the Eagles are so good at it and other people aren't. But I'm telling you, I think even 3, 4, 5 yards out, I think they're gaining those yards. Of course, the tush push is more for a 1 yard and under type of thing. But, I mean, you can see just how far they can actually push that line with Jalen Hurts behind them, pushing through. I mean, it's really remarkable what they do with that.
It's amazing. And it's taught – other teams have tried to copy it.
Yeah.
And they can't. And it's Stoutland is a credit to this, because they're taught a technique that none of them will share. Jordan Mailata has gotten into it, but will not get into details. They are taught something offensively on the line to get lower, and whatever the technique they're using, they are getting lower than the opposing defensive line, which is causing the entire push. The push at the end is kind of like icing on the cake. I still think they get this without the push. I don't think they need – if the NFL wants to outlaw the two guys pushing, I think it's bullcrap. But I still think they get the yard. They might not get the 3, like you're saying, Joe, how it does look like they fall almost like a wave that falls through 3, 4. But, I love the play, and I love that we're the best at it. Yeah. I want to touch on your Hurt stuff, though. I think he is coming getting out of the turnover thing. I just don't think last week's a barometer as a quarterback, though. He only had 150 yards. I was texting my friends on this, too, this is kind of it's kind of like a criticism, but it's also a positive too, I guess, because it was almost Eli Manning-esque on a few of those plays. The pass rush was coming and he just stopped and just ducked his head and fell down, or ran a little bit, but it was he totally gave up on it, which was frustrating on one hand, but to your point, Joe, on the other hand, is knocking down the turnovers. It's hey, I'll fight the battle another day. I'm not going to force this. I'm about to get sacked. I'll just take it. It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's not his fault. So it shows an education level of where Carson maybe when he got to this point would be do everything he could to make sure he made a positive yardage, and he would end up fumbling or throwing a pick.
Yeah. And another play that, has kind of made some headlines is Jalen Carter diving between the legs on the spike, and he came very close to catching that ball. And I'm sitting there I'm watching the replay, watching clips the next day, and I said to my wife, I go, if he would have caught that, there's no way they wouldn't be trying to ban that play from happening the very next week. Because some injury could come from that. But how amazing would it be if somebody can perfect that play? And Jalen Carter having the balls to do it, that's so great.
He said he saw it on YouTube. Why not do that every time, though? What else is going to happen in the play? You know what I mean? Now you're right, though. You're going to have all linemen diving and then taking O-lineman legs out, and then that's why they'll get rid of it.
Yeah. And for a guy his size, too, I keep going back to that. He almost Joel Embiid is a guy to be as athletic and as big as he is to dive and even have a chance. Any other big man's
it was so close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No other big man's Jalen. Again, that would be what if he did get that. That's where Jalen Carter would have the benefit of being big but athletic, to be big enough to push people out of the way to get to it, and quick enough to get low enough and catch it. So like that's another, like, you just can't copy it. Like that's the other thing about it.
Man, if he would have caught that ball.
And to go back to like what makes the standing out. I mean, if you watch and with the tush push, I mean that's what they were calling Kelsey. Remember they were calling it wasn't it was like they're saying it was Landon Dickerson, but it was Kelsey. They're saying he had his two arms on the line. Well, that's exactly. I mean, Kelsey's allowed to do that, and that's what he's almost in a 4-point stance, but hiking the ball. So he's going low and shooting at the legs, which takes all the momentum and power out of the guy. Like just those three on the point, like just the guy at the nose and the tackles that are in tight or linebackers, whoever's moving up on the line to move, and he's just taking away because they can't. They have to kind of fall back. They're like pushing forward, but their legs are coming back from under them. So then the guys who are pushing forward are taking all the momentum. And the guy, yes, that's why Jalen Hurts is better at it, because he's strong enough to put a little extra effort in it. And when you're doing it, you only need a yard or less. So that's what he's doing. He's just jumping across a pile and getting it. And it's not rocket science, but you have to have the right people to do it. And give it to Spags for sitting there saying he was going to, don't worry, I have a sure way of beating tush push. Don't worry, brotherly shoves no problem for us. We know how to beat it. And he couldn't beat it. Tried.
And to kind of counterpoint what you're saying, like when it comes to the neutral zone infraction on plays like that, Jason Kelsey is the only one allowed to have his two hands down. And in the two instances where there was a call on a penalty saying it was Dickerson with his hand down in the neutral, and it wasn't. It was proven that it wasn't. Kelsey said that it wasn't. If you look at the stills of that play, you can see the defensive tackle with his fingers under the ball. So he was the defense was actually in the wrong in the neutral zone infraction, and it was a phantom Landon Dickerson who's been getting the calls on him.
And there's been plenty of times guys' helmets are over the ball or almost in between the O-line. Like every time they call it, the defense is usually more, and they let them get away with it because they're so worried about the Eagles making them, doing something quote unquote illegal. But guys, I remind you guys, tonight is the biggest party night of the year. So when you're out there driving, please be safe. But if you do happen to get in a car accident or work injury or personal injury or criminal law, David R. Cherry is the man with the plan. 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Dave Cherry will fight for your rights in these big moment times in your life. So go to cherryinjurylaw.com or call 610-565-0300 to talk to David R. Cherry right away.
And tonight being the biggest consumption night of the year, 6 of the best words you can hear from your wife when you come down from work is, "Can you make me a drink?" Yes, I can. You're darn tootin' I can, honey.
You're doing that. You got the eggnog down below, and when I get done,
cheers.
Joining you guys shortly. I didn't have enough time to pour a drink, but ultimately, back to the Bills game. I think the Eagles do win this one. I think it's going to be another hard-fought game, and I expect that from here until at least the next 3 or 4 games, until the Dallas game, the Seahawks game, all these games that are coming up, the Niners game. It's good. These are teams that everybody's kind of, I don't want to say desperation mode, but every game, when you're 9-1, and then if we can become 10-1, then things get more desperate because they know what that first round bye means going into the playoffs. And the Eagles having a first round bye becomes a huge factor, especially for giving guys the time to lick their wounds and heal up to go out as fresh as they are. I mean, and another big thing to come out of that Chiefs game is the injury report was nil. A couple of the older guys, had some ankle issues or knee issues, but it was all limited practice stuff. Nobody was out. I think the only person was who had somebody had a concussion. It was trying to remember who it was, but I forget off the top of my head.
Let me ask you this.
Milton Williams.
Yeah. He had a nice game, too, the other night. He did. Let me ask you guys this. They come out of this Bills game 10-1, games in hand in the division, I should say. Does the pressure kind of come off just a little bit as like a fan? Like, of course, the Eagles are going to go in prepared every single week, but like to us, it's like this murderer's row that everyone's been talking about. This this gauntlet in the center of the season. Like, does it make you feel just a little bit better, or do you look at it and say, oh, well, they're AFC teams, we got to keep the pedal to the metal fan base wise with the Niners and Dallas coming up next?
I'm going to say maybe not the Dallas game so much, but the Niners game, I'm still got the pedal to the metal, because that win will essentially clinch home field. You know what I mean? For the most part. Obviously, the Lions are coming up our next too. Speaking of, we were talking before the game, we probably should be rooting for the Packers too tomorrow. The Lions are coming up, then they look good and they're tough. So the home field would be big. So the 49ers game is still gonna be a high angst game for me. Win or lose, though. I don't think this Bills game. So I guess I'm trying to answer your question correctly. 10-1 or 9-2, I probably feel the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with Fred. It's the NFC teams. Like, looking at this before we hit it, once we beat Dallas for the first time, I'm looking at it, I'm like, people are like, would you rather be 3-2 and 2-3? Is that different in these 5 games? I'm looking at it as beating the Seahawks, beating the Niners, and hopefully beating Dallas again is the most important to me, maybe more or less the Seahawks. But, yeah, beating those NFC teams, because that's what it is. It's all about the number 1 seed in the long run. Like, it's great being the best in the NFL and all this stuff. But, again, the one thing is the Lions have going for them is they have the softest schedule moving forward. But does that, there's also about being battle tested when it comes to the playoffs, because if everything was to end this week, I believe they have a divisional game because they play Minnesota. If everything ended the way it is, we would have the bye. The Lions would be number 2, Niners would be number 3, and then whoever wins the South, which would be like the Saints at right now, they would be number 4. Meaning Dallas would be 5, and we'd be playing the Saints in that wild card round. Seattle would play the Niners, another divisional matchup, and then Minnesota would be playing the Lions. So it's all about being battle tested too. There's something to be doing, but having a schedule. I believe the Lions will probably lose 2 more games between now and the end of the year at most. But I can honestly see them just losing 1 more game. They are a good team right now. I wouldn't say they scare me as much people put out there, but it's all about getting that number 1 seed. Guys, real quick, let's shift over. I want to actually
real quick. Let me just close up on the Bills here. A couple more things real quick. The receivers I had concerns of I was saying it was a good week for our secondary because the Chiefs wide receivers stink. The Bills wide receivers do not stink.
Yeah.
So let's know that they're going to be a problem. You got Stephon Diggs over there. You got Gabe Davis who comes up here and there. If you're a fantasy player, it's like you can't start them, you can't sit them, and you can't cut them because you don't know what's going to happen with him. And then what's the guys like Khalil Shakur last week, 3 catches, 115 yards and a touchdown. So that's a problem. We're terrible against the tight end. Travis Kelce, minus his own blunders, would have had an even better game. We're going up against Dalton Kincaid, who's kind of been posted or tagged the next Travis Kelce. We got like 128 rate against the tight end. They're just concerns I just want to make sure we address and throw out there that's going to be something I'm probably why the spread's so small. Like, let's see how we adjust. And then also the Bills throw the ball to the running backs out of the backfield. James Cook and Ty Johnson combined for 7 catches, I think 80-some yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Our linebackers, some weeks they're good. Some plays they're good. Some plays they're not. These are things I'm just like kind of concerned about.
No,
yeah, I think your point to Dalton Kincaid is spot on. I mean, this guy has been putting up some pretty decent numbers, and he's only a rookie. I mean, I've kind of been following him over the past 2 seasons at Utah, playing against Penn State in a bowl. I honestly wanted them to draft Dalton Kincaid in like the 2nd or 3rd round if he made it that way. If made it that way, not any chance that he would have. But I was doing a lot of research in him, and this kid is going to be really good for years to come. So he's definitely someone they're going to have to watch out for.
He's got 45 plus yards in 6 straight games. So
yeah. That's good for a rookie tight end.
Yeah.
Another thing is real quick is Joe, you posted up on all our social media. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, YouTube. We're on there. Joe, you posted up there that Adam Schefter about 4:30 this afternoon said a certain three-time All-Star linebacker was available, and the Eagles and Cowboys were top teams right now in the conversation because he's a free agent. He got through the waiver wire. Nobody picked him up. What do you think? Is there a possibility the Eagles could pick him up?
This is my first thought when it comes to that. When did all of this Shaquille Leonard stuff start? Maybe I've been living under a rock. Ever since he's been drafted, I've known him as Darius Leonard. Last year, we were talking about a possibility of even trading for him. Where did this Shaquille Leonard stuff come from? Because it's very confusing. I had to look it up a lot to see if I was talking and thinking about the same player.
Yeah. He's been using the name Shaquille more often than
his Wikipedia is now Shaquille Leonard. Where's the man to stop?
Why are guys named Darius?
Picking their numbers, picking their names.
Certain guys named Darius don't like being called Darius.
Yeah, well.
Some they just dropped the Darius.
Either way, sign with the Eagles.
I mean, is it a major upgrade in your eyes?
Oh, I think so.
Well,
I do. I mean, there's a reason why the Colts cut him. Personally, I think it's because of the money he's going to be owed after this season. If the Eagles or any team would have picked him up on waivers, he still would have been owed like $6.1 million for the remainder of this season, plus whatever for the next 2 or 3 that are on his contract. This way, it's a clean slate. And if he's got his pick of the litter at this point, and multiple teams are going to come for him. Not only the Eagles, not only the Cowboys, but I mean, if he's smart about it, he's going to join the best team in the NFL. You can't say more about that.
I think that's a plus to being 9-1 right now and being the hot team in the NFL. And yeah, maybe it is. Maybe you can get a better deal on a guy like that, and he'd be willing to take a couple bucks less than going somewhere else. But you're right. He has the pick of the town or the towns or cities he wants to go to. But I would love to see a little bit more linebacker depth in a team that, even though they've made some guys who've really stepped up and played well, like Cunningham and all that stuff. I listen, bring him on. Let's find out if he's worthwhile. It ain't my money.
Yeah, and real quick, before Freddie, you take this one on, I do think that they need linebacker depth. I don't think it's really responsible for the team or Howie Roseman to think that Morrow or Cunningham can just not get injured for the rest of the season, knock on wood. You need the depth there. And I think if you're going to get somebody to come in and steal some reps, I think Darius Leonard is the guy to do it.
I believe one of his complaints was he was upset he wasn't getting more reps with the Colts, so could be a plus in both columns.
Sirianni he definitely has familiarity with him too, being a Colt, even though he's on the other side of the ball.
Still has
Dean just had surgery on a Linfranc sprain. We don't know how bad the sprain is, but we know when it's a break, you are out for at least a year. Like, it is something that is so detrimental to your play, and there's no timeline on this. We have no idea. Like, Nakobe Dean, they just may not be telling us now. Like, he might be done for the season, or at least not till the playoffs or so. So they need to get somebody in here, and we already know that they were trying to get Anthony Barr just last week or 2 weeks ago or what it was. So that they're out there looking.
Yeah, and let's be honest, I don't want to put, because I like Nakobe Dean. We haven't seen enough of him to make any decisions on him, but he's had 2 foot injuries on 2 different feet. I don't want to slap the term injury prone on him, but right now he's making it kind of hard not to.
He did drop to the 3rd round for a reason.
Yeah, well, obviously maybe there's something there we don't know, but he could still be a good get. He could still be a good key, role player, a 3rd round draft pick type player. But we won't know. And this year is where it's important because personally, I feel like at this point in time, the Eagles have a better chance of winning it all than they did last year. The AFC teams, even though they're not as big a deal, it's not as stacked now that you have guys like Joe Burrow going down. The Ravens are dealing with injuries. The Chiefs look like they're really poisoned. The NFL, the script writers really want the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl again. But also the NFC it's much tighter, but at the same time, the Eagles can be the best team in the NFC again just as easily as last year as they were this year, or as they were last year. But let's jump here, guys. I want to talk real quick. I want to actually jump to baseball real quick with you guys because a big signing, and I'll ask you guys this: Aaron Nola has signed with the Phillies, and he is signed for 7 years, 172 million, making about 24, a little bit over 24.5 million a year. Joe, are you happy with this signing? Are you, did they overpay? What do you feel about it? And or should they just done at the beginning of the season? They might have saved a couple bucks in the long run.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. Just because, I mean, you guys asked, or Al, you asked us this last week, like, how do we feel about it? Are we optimistic? I was very optimistic about it. I think that the deal that he got is honestly perfect. I mean, we were talking about like if you have to spend a little bit more, like if it's 25 or so, 26, then you do the deal just because of free agency and the pitchers that were available. And he is a Philly guy. He's been here his entire career. He's probably going to end here, end his career here. I think 7 years, maybe a year or two too much. However, 24 and change for a season. I think if he can go into the next season with those adjustments that he made in the playoffs and he becomes a real solid, 1A or 2A, whatever, however you want to, look at him, I think it's an absolute steal. And I think it actually leaves a lot of money on the table for them to go out and make another signing, wherever it may be. I think what was it? He was requesting 7 years and like 210, and he got 7 years and 172, as we talked about, averages down to 24. I mean, I think this is a great deal for the Phillies. I mean, he has even said that, or I'm sorry, maybe it was his agent who said it. Like he's taken other interviews, other meetings with other teams, and he's turned down more money to come to Philadelphia. When in recent years we've seen Bryce Harper turn down more money, Trey Turner turn down more money, Zach Wheeler when we initially signed him take less money. Everybody wants to come to Philadelphia. This is a culture everyone can thrive in. Everyone sees what's going on here in the playoffs, and everyone wants to be a part of it. Am I surprised Aaron Nola back? No, I'm really not. I don't know. Like, are you guys like you guys were a little bit more on the other side of it than I was last week when we were talking about it? How were your initial feelings about it? And real quick, it all came down really fast too, because Bob Nightingale had that tweet out there and I feel like I posted it. We were all texting about it. And then like within the hour, it was like, okay, he signed. Here are the details. It's like, holy crap, that really came down quickly.
Oh, I also think the Phillies are trying to get it out there before Monday. They wanted it out before Monday.
True. So very true.
The Chiefs game didn't overtake the
very true.
Fred, I'll let you ask the question first.
Yeah, man. I mean, last week, I still stand by this. I would go nowhere near 200, 210, anything like that. But 24, 25, okay, I'll do that. That's a good payment for a 2. And so I'm happy with it. And he's familiar here. And I like that he took the pay cut. I like that he didn't even listen to the final offer from the Braves and the other places. He wanted to be here. He made enough money that it was like, hey, I'm making enough money to change my life. I'm taking a pay cut, but not to the extent of going somewhere else. I want to win a championship here and see this thing through. And that just makes you love Nola as the person, the fact that he wanted to do it that way. So
real quick, he's expecting with his wife. So then this being their home for as many years, now expecting a newborn, I mean, that could have played a role in it as well.
Yeah, I honestly think Aaron Nola is a comfort kind of guy. Like he knows this place. I think that's one of the reasons he'd be willing to take a little less money to stay here because he knows what he's got. And give a little credit to him from a character standpoint, Joe. Like, I mean, it does mean a lot when guys turn down money because, I mean, sometimes I think us guys who can't even imagine making $24 million a year, right. when you hear, well, what's 24 when you can, what's 27 and 24 if you want to stay in Philly?
I'm under the impression that 2024, that's me and Joe's contract.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's in yen, dude, or pesos. So
hey,
yeah,
I'll still take that.
Yeah,
I'll still take that.
Yeah,
what's the conversion rate? It's got to be more than what I'm making right now, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
The way the dollar's falling, maybe that's a win.
All your paychecks say don't cash until 2072. But give him the credit where credit's due on that. He did But yeah, I think it works out for both sides. He gets to stay where he's at. He's making good money. I mean, technically, they're only paying him about $1 million a year more annually than they're currently paying Zach Wheeler. So it's not like they're breaking the bank. So 7 years from now, this is going to be a very team friendly-ish deal with inflation and all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna talk about this too. Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Don't even attempt the first name. Just say Yamamoto.
I'm working on it.
Don't even bother working on it. But hold on. One last thing about the Aaron Nola thing. From what I read, and I didn't look it up per se, is if you took what Aaron Nola was making last year and you took what they were paying Scott Kingery, in which they declined for this year, you add those two together, and it's what Aaron Nola is making. So it's really no extra money off the books.
Okay,
dude,
so
that's huge. And then, and quickly, you brought up Wheeler. This now changes things, so they can now take that extra money, focus on a possible extension with him, or the guy you're about to bring up.
Well, that was kind of be my question to you guys. So, Bryce Harper apparently would help put something together to woo Yamamoto. I mean, this guy has to be in every business.
Is there a pun in there?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, he has to be in every business meeting. Like, I think if they're changing the price of the hot dogs, they're going to ask Bryce Harper anymore if this is what they should do. So they're making a real push for this guy, which I agree with. I mean, could you imagine next year what our lineup would be if they can grab him? But my question to you guys is, if you end up getting a guy like him and you just signed Nola, what does that mean for Zach Wheeler? Does he know he's pretty much a lame duck pitcher at this point?
Fred, you can start.
No, I don't think that. I don't think the Phillies would be so asinine to make a move like that. Like, what? You can't put all your eggs in Nola and Yamamoto basket when Wheeler's been your guy year after year. And Nola even said in his press conference, are you going to break the record for most consecutive, opening day starts as the Philly? And he's like, honestly, Zach should get the ball because what he's done has been remarkable. And that's true. So, no, I think if the Phillies get Yamamoto, they intend on re-signing Wheeler as well. I don't think the moves are, opposite of each other.
I mean, I know Zach Wheeler's a little older, but do you think because this would be his last contract for the most part? I mean, I imagine he's going to want 4 or 5 more years. And I mean, even if he's making the same amount of money. So if he's making the same, say he matches what Aaron Nola's getting, but for 4 years. For 4 years, you're paying guys well over $50 million, just 2 guys right there. Plus, you're also paying Bryce Harper. You're also paying why am I blanking out? Trey Turner. You still have a couple of years left. I mean, if you look at the contracts and you actually just kind of drew them on a timeline and see where one's begin and end, you got a couple more years left with Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber. I think one's 4 and one's 5. I always forget which one. Well, who was it? Castellanos had 4 years and Schwarber was 5 years.
Schwarber's got 4. Castellanos has 5.
So okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I wasn't sure about. But my thing is like those guys will be in a couple of years. I mean, I know they said, oh, we're not going to move on from Nick Castellanos, but there's kind of not rumors, but ideas kind of thrown around out there. They could bring Rhys Hoskins back for less than they're probably paying Nick Castellanos and put him in left field. I don't agree with this,
dude,
but
you can't put him in left field.
No, I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm just saying, in this case, do they have to do this with all the money that's coming off the books, or the money that's coming on the books to make more room? I'm just kind of throwing devil's advocate out here.
But at the moment, there isn't new money going on the books. I mean, the Scott Kingery thing equals out to what Aaron Nola is being paid. Like, in fact, they have more money right now, even after this signing, because of Hoskins not returning. Plus, they don't really care about the luxury. And I mean, I think one of the things we forget when we talk about, like, all right, Zach Wheeler extension, or he hits free agency, they go into a new contract, blah blah blah, is you're only looking at maybe a $5 million per year increase, which when you talk baseball money, it really means nothing, because I mean, Zach Wheeler is already making a salary, and all you're doing is adding on to that, to that salary per year. So it could be 3, 4, 5, 6 million, which is absolutely nothing. And then you still have money to play with when it comes to a Yamamoto. And I have no idea what that contract will be. It'll be bananas. But but to my point of, I don't think they care about the luxury tax. I mean, they, over the past 2 years, have seen what winning baseball does to this city and does to their profits, their overhead when it comes to Citizens Bank Park. They are making money hand over fist. It doesn't matter what kind of 15% tax that they're getting. I'm literally about to buy a second ticket package for next season. I mean, people, it's the off season. We just signed Aaron Nola. People are still gaga over this team. I mean, the money's coming in. I honestly don't think they give a damn about the salaries. I mean, per se. I mean, they want it to be respectful and responsible about it. But I don't think I think Middleton has finally bought in to what other clubs have done, the Dodgers, the Yankees. And I hate to say, like, kind of like buy a championship, but I don't care how we get the championship, just win the championship. And it puts a smile on my face. I think that they will stop at nothing to win another World Series here in Philadelphia.
I think Bryce won't stop at nothing. I mean,
that's fair too.
I mean, that's why I think he's involved with a lot of these things. I think that was part of the deal, like maybe like kind of like a handshake, wasn't in the contract. But hey, listen, if you guys want me part of this organization, I got to be part of some of the decision making, because I'm not gonna end my career without a ring. You know what I mean? Especially the fact that the team that he just left won one right after he left, so that plays a little factor into that. But I mean, they are being very strategic with the contracts and how they're lining up. I mean, Yamamoto is 25 years old, so you sign him to a 7-year contract. He's only 32 years old.
And so, you look at the free agents right now, the biggest free agents out there right now, they're all 30, 31. I mean, this is like everybody going, like, this is another Ohtani that people are going after. 25 years old. I mean, he can't swing a bat from what I know. I mean, but he averages like 0.5 home runs a season in the past, like, however many he's pitched.
Well, here's your accolades: 5-time All-Star, 3-time ERA champion, 2-time MPB with the Japanese League, triple crown champion, and the Pacific League's equivalent to the MVP and Cy Young. So, like, he is their best guy by far. So most likely he's going to translate over here. I mean, I want to say he's the closest thing to a sure thing that you can get in these situations.
You just brought up, made me think of something, Joe, and I don't know if it was our Joe that did the graphic here, but he has a teammate, correct? Is it his teammate Trevor Bauer over there?
Yeah. I was actually just about to bring him up. Yeah.
Why did you get so much flack for that? Like, he was.
Do you not know the? Do you know the backstory of? Okay. Yeah.
He was wrongfully accused. Like, it was totally. He was framed. Like, correct. I don't know if I'm wrong. Is there more to it? Like, there's video of the girl literally making it up, which to me exonerates him of everything. So, like, let's go get an awesome picture.
This is what is a telltale to me is when you look up the information and it's all been proven that he was wrongfully accused and framed, in your words and many other people's words. But when you see something that says there was a settlement from outside of court and no money was exchanged, what to you tells me that he was still in the wrong some way. This dude had to pay nothing to this woman for her to come out and say he was not guilty of this incident. And people I don't think know that there has been a settlement. There has been no money. He's been, proven to be, innocent in this situation. People don't know that. And to be honest with you, like, if it wasn't for me diving into seeing the Trevor Bauer stuff and being in the position that we are, where we're looking at all angles of every player for every story, I mean, there's a chance I may not have seen it because it wasn't at the forefront of, the Athletic or the Inquirer or ESPN, SI, whatever it is. Like this guy's name is tainted. People don't want to touch him. So people don't know that he has been cleared of everything. That's why I put it out there.
I was thinking it. And you posted it. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, totally agreed. And then I'm like watching the comments. I'm like, am I missing something? I didn't even want to respond because I didn't want to not know. But like, did you like not to go down the Bauer hole? But like, did
yeah.
Did you see the video of the girl actually?
I actually didn't.
But
I'm going to after the show.
Go see the video. She's caught on video going like, "Oh, I'm going to get the bag here," as he's passed out, sending like a Snapchat to her girl.
Wow,
wow, totally. And that's what I saw. So when I saw all that, but anyhow, I digress. I always want to say that. I never said I digressed before. But
this is my biggest thing with it. Is like this is Philadelphia. And we've seen other Philadelphia teams go into the mindset of second chances. And why wouldn't this guy deserve a second chance? I mean, for somebody like this girl, I mean, and I swear to God, I'm going to watch this video as soon as we're done here tonight. For this girl to go out there, and I'll just put it out there, ruin his life. He was a great pitcher in the MLB, making a lot of money. And then she went out there to try and make some money off the back of the hard work of this guy, and completely effed up his life. Absolutely. Family life, professional life. He's in Japan, for God's sakes. And why wouldn't we give him a second chance? I hope Middleton is on the phone. I hope Dombrowski is on the phone talking to this guy, because it's not fair. It's really not. It's not fair how you're guilty until proven innocent.
Not to mention all the women that it actually does happen to, that now they get painted as they're trying to make money when really they got abused or whatever she was accusing him of. So it's a lose-lose either way. What a scumbag.
Yeah, I mean the quickest of the story is there was a consensual rough sexual encounter that
I don't even think you had to get into all that.
No, but I'm just saying but usually when there's a settlement with no money change, I mean, in the legal realm, very little I know about it, but in the legal realm, there is a no fault settlement where people pay for just to get it to go away. Like, I'm not saying I'm wrong, but here's some money. It cost me
no
less
contest.
Money it's something like that. It would cost me more money to drag me through the mud and go through all this stuff than to give you here's $20,000. It's chump change to me. Go away, leave me alone. But the fact she didn't get anything, it probably was a way of keeping her from going to jail. There's a good chance that because, like they said, listen, if we let this go, we let you go, we go our separate ways. You sign a thing saying that this, that you can't talk about it and all that. That's most likely what happened in that case. And that was her saving her. What she got out of it was her not getting in legal trouble and possibly jail time.
That's a great point.
But after that great way, here's a segue. Guys, it's the holiday season is upon us right now. And I know someplace, I hate going out shopping and forget it. It's the worst thing. So I like to shop from my phone. And, some people use Amazon and whatever. I use phillysportstrips.com. Go to phillysportstrips.com. We talk about baseball. We feel warm. We're ready to go. Why not start with a spring training with phillysportstrips.com? They got a couple different ones, March 13th to the 18th, 15th to the 20th. They have even an earlier one if you want to get out there real early, March 1st to the 4th. Go check it out. They have some great stuff. And if you really want to spend big for the one you love, you can go out to London to watch the Phillies take on the Mets in the UK. But guys, flights and hotel packages are sold out. So if you're out there, you got to get there on your own, but you can still sign up for the tailgate now at phillysportstrips.com. And, if you're looking for something more like a stocking stuffer, a little bit less expensive, you can go to the Stadium Series February 17th. Get together. It is a great deal, great time. Head up to MetLife to watch the Flyers take on the the Islanders? Yeah, the Islanders.
Devils.
Devils. I'm sorry, Jersey Devils. And on February 17th, outside at Met Stadium. Check it out, phillysportstrips.com. I like I said, do you guys see any outside maybe Yamamoto or something, like any other moves, any other maybe non-pitching moves? Because we're really focusing hard on the pitching, but do you think they make any outside of some small?
I was hoping for Hader, but then, reading more about it and just reading more of the personality of this guy, like he wants to be nothing but a closer. He doesn't want to come in the 7th or 8th as like a situational, how kind of the Phillies were doing it this past playoffs, where it was like if the meat of the team's, biggest hitters were in the lineup in like the 8th inning, he would put the quote unquote closer in. Now, Hader, as we've talked about last week, and we talked about the Bryce Harper, we talked about it all. this is not the guy for that. Like, he will not come out until the ninth inning because that, and some guys just like, they have that mentality. They know their role and they don't want to get out of that mindset of it being, a different type of situation in the game, which I get and somewhat respect. But ultimately, you're a teammate to, X amount of other players and other staff. And if you're called upon to go in the eighth inning, then that's what you do. You're getting paid to do a job. You're not going to sit down and be like, hey, no, that's not what I signed up for. I'm going to play by my own rules. So for that, I'm out on the whole hater thing.
I understand what you're saying, but let's be honest. How many pure closers aren't a bunch of head cases? They usually tend to be a little bit on the little wacky side.
But Dombrowski said that they're going with a committee going forward.
Yeah, and that's my reason why I don't think Hader comes. It's not just the style of what Dombrowski and Tomper tend to do. It looks like they don't always have that guy that's always going to close, which at times could be maddening and at times makes sense. So let's see how that rolls out. But yeah, I think that's the main reason. And plus, signing Wheeler for what we just signed him. Nola, and if you try to sign Wheeler and if you sign Yamamoto, you're not affording a guy like Hader in my eyes. It's just that becomes even just too much for at one point.
They might kick the tires on Robertson again. He'd love to hear it. He's available. Liam Hendricks from the White Sox. There's some guys they might be able to get a little cheaper. Though
listen, the only time Robertson helped us was when he pitched against us. Let's be honest.
I don't care what Dombrowski says about this rotation going forward. I do think that they're going to get another starter, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be Yamamoto. He said something earlier, or at least his agent said to Yahoo Japan that he wants to play on a team with other Japanese players. I don't know what team that falls under. Who has money to spend on someone like him. So it could be just, whatever. But I think that they could go out and trade for or sign a Jacob Montgomery, trade for a Dylan Cease from the White Sox. Like, I do think that they're going to go out and solidify the starting rotation even more. And even by doing that, you're going to throw probably Sanchez in the bullpen, and that solidifies that even more as well. So I don't think we're done seeing more pitching being added. Yeah, outside of Yamamoto.
Bring me Corbin Burns. Burns.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Guys, I want to just catch you up here. End of the third quarter, the Minnesota Timberwolves are up 89-79 over the 76ers right now. And the Flyers are in the less than 8 minutes in the third period, down 3-1 to the Islanders. No Joel Embiid tonight, Fred. Just another load management game.
Yeah, probably on a back-to-back. He's been having questionable with the hip. Maybe the hip really was bothering him, but it's going to happen. I don't expect him to play 82 games. I think he's played a significant amount of games. He had 2 games. What's his first game he's missed for the season? So he had 2 games where he was kind of off a bit. I think he played well last night. The shot didn't fall at the end. So,
Do you think the in-season tournament is a distraction? What they go 2-2, and they're out.
Nah,
is it like? I think it's dumb.
I think it bring and a lot of players have said this. I think the $500K to each player is a big thing, and not for the stars. It's for those players on your team that don't make that type of money, your two-way guys that are now going to get $500K. Your coaches on the staff, they all get $500K. So I think it kind of becomes a little bit of a big deal in that sense. Like, your teammates, you're trying to win this thing to get your boys paid, and the people that you're around. But I don't think it's much of a distraction. I think it's a regular game. I think there's a little more intensity maybe. Like, I do like at the end that they continue to try to score for the point differential. I love that. But I wouldn't call it a distraction, no, because it's not like they lost and they're like dejected or anything. I feel like they're just like, all right, oh well.
Going into the season knowing that this was going to happen, did you expect it to be so early in the season? I honestly thought it was going to be like around Christmas time, halfway through, maybe around the trade deadline. Like I was very surprised that it started, within the first couple weeks of the season.
It's done December 9th. I mean, the
Yeah, I
last
know.
game
That's
is
what I
pretty
mean.
crazy.
It's ending before I even thought that it was going to start.
Yeah, I had no idea, but I'd say it's probably better in the beginning of the season because that's when you have the most like nonchalant type of stuff. So
Resting.
I think it worked out better because there's probably behind the scenes like Adam Silver, like you sit out one of my tournament games, we got a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a kind of a leave it, lump it kind of guy with the tournament. Like, it's hard for me to get into. Maybe it's the first year. Like, I'm not like super excited. I mean, these guys get to make $500,000, but a piece. But I mean,
right. It's almost like why are they staggering the games? Why is one game an in-season tournament game, the next game not, the fourth game after that is like why not just get it done within within like 2 weeks?
They're copying soccer. You know what I mean? So like that's what they do over there.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with soccer is, and I might be wrong here. So if there's a soccer nut, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. What the difference with soccer is they have different leagues going on. So like in the tournament, you may play a team from a different league that you normally weren't in, so once you advance, or like this is all just the NBA. But if there was like European
I got it, yeah.
Jumping in, then it'd be like, oh, and if they actually could compete against an NBA team, then it like changes things because you're like, oh, wow, US, like the Sixers versus whatever team in Russia, let's say. And it's like, oh, wow, but it's not like that here.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. So in soccer, there's like 5 or 6 different leagues that people are trying to be promoted to throughout the season. So yeah, they're playing different teams from other leagues, and yeah, okay, I get it. That's fair.
Yeah, I could leave the floors drive me nuts though. Can I just point that out there?
My God,
with you.
Oh my God,
I feel like
it's overkill.
I mean, listen, I know they're trying to sell jerseys because everybody wears their city edition jerseys during the in-season tournaments. We know it's part of it. If you're going to be paying guys $500,000 a piece on a team plus coaching staff, you got to make your money somehow. But my point is, like, there's times the guys would disappear. I'm like, wait a minute, there he is. He kind of like reappeared on the screen.
They blend in. They blend in with the floor for some reason.
I think the only plus it was is if you watch the Celtics game, because I hate the Celtics parquet floors. So it was kind of a positive there. But other than that, the rest of it, they can all go pound sand with it. I mean, do you guys think it's back next year? Do you think they
don't be stealing my tweet, Al? That was my tweet, and you liked it,
no,
bro.
I did like it,
Give credit here.
I did give credit to it. I will. I agree with it 100%. In my ass. But no. But like, do you guys think it's back next year? Like, honestly,
yeah, I do. If they're making that much money from it, yeah.
Dude, Adam Silver. You think Adam Silver? This is his baby. Adam Silver is not going to let this die. No way.
Adam Silver's top priority of the season was get James Harden traded and see success in this in-season tournament.
Well, they got one thing done, as far as I know. I mean, I would like to see how they make like. Is it in? I mean, I know the first round are kind of part of the regular season game, so it's not like they're going to have them or not. Is it? I guess on the viewership, I guess would be a way they would find out if that's a plus.
I have no idea. Everyone's watching these games anyway. If you're a fan of your team, so I don't see how viewership really matters.
The next round would play for, but are you paying more attention? Are you bringing more of a national audience in to watch a in-season tournament like Sixers versus the Hawks, right? The Sixers or Hawks, like maybe not many outside of Atlanta and Philly are really paying attention. So, but maybe you're bringing more of a national look into it because of if you give a crap about the in-season tournament.
Well, once it gets to like the single elimination, I think that's when you get there. It'll be more like the March Madness, and then it's like in Vegas. All the games are in Vegas. That's when you'll get there. But right now, no. I think you just turn on SportsCenter and you see the floor. And you're like, oh, that's a tournament game. No, that's not. Last night, everyone's like, oh, they're gonna get eliminated if they lose. Well, you know what I mean.
Oh well, who cares?
But Fred, you hit the nail on the nose. Like, maybe that is true. Maybe that's why the floors look so weird. Is I have stopped and maybe watched the game more than I would normally tune into it because I saw the floors. I'm like, oh, let me see what they're doing. Like maybe 30 seconds. I'm not sitting there saying I'm sitting there. I'm looking for all the in-season tournament games. But other news is Kelly Oubre could be coming back from his car accident. rib injury as of next week, which is pretty cool because rib injuries are one of those hard injuries to come by, like to get over, like because it's painful to breathe, and if you're running up and down the court, you're breathing heavily, it's sore right there. You go for a rebound, you're getting banged in the ribs, it's going to happen. So that's a big plus because the team has been missing him. I mean, now that this kind of things have settled down and where
Do not hit end.
I won't.
Are you heading out, Fred?
Yeah, it's 1 minute till. So good seeing you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Very thankful for
You
both
too.
of you and the whole Edge of Philly. So thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
God bless, buddy.
You and your fan, bud.
See you.
See you later. Joe, I mean, now that it's all settled down, or I should say, like the dust has settled. The Sixers are still 10-4, tops somewhere top of the league. I mean, do you are you still excited from what you're seeing from the Sixers? Are you still enthralled with them now?
Yeah. I think when you look at the start of this season compared to last season, and how they were, mediocre. They were almost a 500 team, X amount of weeks into the beginning of last season. I think it's definitely something to pay more attention to. I mean, like you said, they're 10-4. They're possibly 10-5 at this point. They're taking a little bit of a step back, but again, I mean, it could just be with growing pains of a new season start. And I got no worries with them. I think they're going to be, right in that contention, top 3 in the conference. Regardless, they're going to have their games that they're down. I mean, I don't like them saying, possible back-to-back losses again, but it's nothing to really be concerned about, in my opinion.
Our update right now, a little more than about 9 minutes left in the game. They're still down looks like about 16 points now. So, I mean, if everything continues this way, it's going to be. It looks like they're getting themselves in some foul trouble. But
it's a wrap.
It looks like the Flyers are about the last 4 minutes of the third period, still down 3-1 to the Islanders. Flyers, like just to talk quickly on them, after tonight they would be, if they won tonight, they'd be 6-0 in their last 6 games. But right now it's going to be 5-1.
Yeah, I'm sorry, they're playing better.
Still playing better. Watch these young guys. Joe, I mean, have you ever cared about the KHL anymore since Mitch Compton over there?
No, not at all. I don't think I've ever looked up information or created a post, or you have either done one of the two as well. This early into a season, or this early into a player coming to us. But hey, this kid's exciting. He's going to be a flyer to, really put us over in the next coming years.
Yeah, you got a couple guys who could be, I don't want to use the term generational talents, but pretty damn close, and could be that move into the future. Flyers did just score, so it's 3-2.
Okay.
With about 3.5 minutes left. So do remind everybody that coming up right after the Flyers and the Sixers end, you will be having post games on both of them. Matty B will be covering this Islanders game. And I know Dives and I think Mitch will be on the call for tonight for the Sixers game. Post game, so it will be interesting. You have plenty more EoP coming at you. And guys, here is the lineup for this week. So you're listen, tomorrow, sometimes you're sitting around, you're waiting for that turkey to get cooked. Maybe you're helping out in the kitchen, you hear a little background noise. Make that background noise at your Philly Sports. Plenty of podcasts out there from what you've missed so far, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But Thursday special, it starts at 10:45. We had to adjust the timing on it. It's a Fighting's Final Hot Stove Edition. We're talking a lot about, recap the season a little bit, but move into the signing of Nola, talking about Yamamoto, talking about moves that could be made, trying to keep you guys up to speed on just Phillies topics as we move, deeper in the off season, as well as Fly Like an Eagle specialty podcast at 12:30 to talk with Mitch, to talk the Eagles, talk about the upcoming Bills game. And, of course, plenty of stuff coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So when you're around with your family, sit around the TV, throw up the YouTube channel, and there you are. Go to EOPsports.com and watch it all right from there, from the comfort of your own home or your own streaming device. Joe, it is about that time to end. But I'm going to ask you, Joe, like Fred said, coming his way out, very thankful for everybody here, especially you. Not often do you get to do what you love. It is a labor of love. We have admitted that numerous times on
absolutely.
Live in person to each other. But to do it with your best friend and do it with you this whole time, it's been one of those cool things to be thankful for. And working with Freddie and all the great guys. I there's so many guys, naming them. Something I feel like I hate to name them because I feel like I miss people. But some guys really do a
blanket statement, dude.
yeah. Yeah, like it's just like everybody just does an amazing job here. Everybody we believe in the same vision, and without not saying there's no bumps in the road, but for the most part, everybody really just pitches in, does an amazing job. But like I said, Joe, working with you, it's God, we didn't know what we had when we just started doing this.
Yeah.
Actually,
coming up on 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. The 6 years will be right between Christmas and New Year's for us. Will be 6 years.
Yeah, man.
But and Joe and I are going to be excited to be talking about 2024 with you guys out there. But we're wishing all of you guys a happy Thanksgiving. But Joe, I got to ask you. I feel like it's just typical to do.
Fair warning. Fair warning. My phone's on 3%.
Okay, so real quick, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? Your typical Thanksgiving food. What does Joe go when there's the whole spread on the table? What does Joe Sheeran look at first and stick his fork in to grab?
Stuffing.
Yeah. Now, are you a stovetop guy, or does it like the homemade stuff that gets you going more?
I'm fine with either, as long as you don't add too many odd things. Yeah,
like cranberry stuffing. I've had that, just threw me off a little bit. I agree with you. Stuffing's a good one.
1%, 1%.
All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for being here. Joe's got to go. Guys, have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, happy Thanksgiving.